What's up, guys? Obviously, it's Captain Obvious, and welcome to Conquering the Borderlands. In today's episode, I'll be talking to you guys about fire elemental damage in Borderlands 2. Now, fire is pretty self-explanatory, as it's pretty much consistent with other video games out in this world that use fire as sort of a damage over time type model. But Borderlands 2 is a little bit different in the fact that fire only affects certain types of enemies. Now, what I mean by certain types of enemies is that there's certain enemies in Borderlands 2 that will take more damage as compared to other enemies who will take less damage from fire. Now, enemies that are purely flesh, such as bandits, or skags, or spider ants, take increased damage from fire, damage over time, elemental damage. But their shields that they have on the outside of them, especially for bandits, will not be damaged as much as flame. Actually, fire will do less damage against those shields as a compared to a regular bullet. So fire is very, very bad against shields. You might want to use shock for that instead. Fire is overall one of the better elements in this game because it's always doing its job for you. Slag may not be doing its job for you, and explosive damage is only a one-shot thing. It does not have a damage over time damage model. Fire and corrosive are two of the better elements in Borderlands 2, and they are seen like that through the effective use of their certain weapon categories. Now, fire damage is one of the better ones because of the fact that the fire is more effective versus more enemy types than corrosive damage is. Corrosive is only effective versus robots and machinery that are, they'll take, theoretically take more corrosive damage as compared to something that's set on fire. So anything that is human or bestial related will take increased damage from fire, and that's pretty much more than 2/3 of the enemies in Borderlands 2. So fire is arguably the most effective and the best elemental damage model in Borderlands 2, right in front of corrosive damage and way in front of slag, shock, and explosive. So fire is your go-to element if you want to be doing the most damage possible versus the most possible enemies in Borderlands 2. I recommend always having a fire weapon in your arsenal because there's always going to be that situation when you run into the enemy that's extremely weak to fire damage that will not be affected as much by corrosive or shock. You may also want to have a slag type weapon in your arsenal as well because the slag damage will also multiply the damage over time of that fire, making it a lot more powerful in that regard. So slag your enemy, shoot them with a fire weapon, and if they're flesh, they'll take so much more damage compared to other types of enemies. That pretty much does it for today's episode of Conquering the Borderlands. Hope you guys enjoyed today's video and you learned something new and useful regarding fire elemental damage. Follow me on Twitter, link is in the description. And as always, rate, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys later. And now, just in case you guys missed it, here is my last video. It was a Medal of Honor Warfighter Beta Woes sort of impression of the current gameplay that's out on YouTube at this point. Follow me on Twitter if you don't want to miss any updates from me. Subscribe to me on YouTube if you have yet to. And I will see you guys later. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and bye.